It's hard to believe, Brian, but Colorado has just concluded its 14th spring practice. Even with that spring break in there, it's really gone by fast leading up to Saturday spring game. We got some good stuff from Coach Prime today previewing the annual spring game.
Yeah, we did, and we talked about it before we started that it really seems like spring started almost yesterday. I mean, it's just gone by really fast, and Buster got a lot done. But, yeah, Coach Prime, we met with him today for the first time since Pro Day, but really the first time talking about this team since, I think, the second week of spring. And so it was good to hear from him, and clearly they like what they're doing, but there's a lot of work to do. And I asked him about the transfer portal. He said, we're going to look at everything. And, I kind of knew he would answer that way, but he mentioned special teams, they're good. They like their kicking game, but other than that, it's, they're going to look everywhere. And that's just kind of the name of the game today in college football. They kind of started it, so they're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, no, they set the trend as far as this goes. And now, actually, they're kind of falling a little bit back in terms of defections. There have been some, most of which have been expected. I think Tajay McCoy was the one that was kind of a surprise along Adrian Wilson a little bit, but I mean, he was a young man, and I know he's committed in North Carolina, so we'll see what he does there. But he was committed to 4 different programs as a high school recruit. So yes. It's a new day and age, and you got to stay on your toes. Staying up with all these transactions, and they're going to have a lot of transfers on campus for the spring game this week. So you're starting to see the wheels in motion there already, and they had 2 graduates commit last weekend.
Yeah, and it's funny because even when you get a commit, you have to stay on your toes. I mean, I remember this was years ago now, 2016. Davis Webb commits here, and for months he's committed, and then last minute he goes to Cal, and it was kind of a big deal. Well, now you see these transfers that might commit and then decommit and then commit, and they commit 2 or 3 times before they actually go to a school. So even when they get commits, I might kind of hold my breath a little bit until that player actually gets on campus. But and like I've said this before, but you cover it more than I do. I don't know how you stay up with everything. I don't know how I stay up with everything, but it's going to be an interesting next month or so. I think the dust will probably settle about a month from now, but the next month is going to be pretty hopping.
Yeah, the first step in there is to remind myself not to be the old man yelling at clouds, because when you grow up in a certain area of college football, this is tough, because Tajay McCoy is a good example of this. Comes in with Coach Prime's transition class, was actually a guy his staff identified, and this was supposed to be his breakout season, and now he's in the portal. And then you're questioning, like, how important is high school recruiting? Coach Prime, again, seemed to be kind of ahead of the curve as far as that goes now in this new era. So that's the part of it that's frustrating. But I'll tell you, as a fan, you've always got some news to follow along with. So that part of it maybe is fun, because you're constantly having something to read about.
There is always something to read about. And I will say this about the high school recruiting is, Coach Prime and his staff have been criticized since he got here about the high school recruiting. You look at it overall, it's been pretty good. I mean, Tajay McCoy is one of those guys. I know he's leaving now, but you look at the foundation of this team, and a lot of it is those high school recruits. And we talked to one of them today with Carter Stoutmeyer, and there's a long list of guys they've gotten out of high school. Jordan Seaton, Juju Lewis, things like that. Draylon Miller, Amaria Miller. That's the foundation of this team now. And so I think he deserves a little more credit for the high school recruiting. It's not big numbers, but they usually get pretty good players.
They do. Their batting percentage is definitely high when it comes to high school recruiting, based on those prior 3 recruiting classes out of the prep ranks. Coach Prime also talked about the jersey retirements. We talked about that on Tuesday. I'm kind of at the point where there's just so much other fun stuff to talk about leading up to the spring game. I don't want to delve too much into the drama, but Coach Prime kind of broke down his thoughts on it. Did you have any other additional things you wanted to say there?
No, I mean, bottom line, like we said the other day, I mean, it comes down to it's a day to honor Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, and they deserve it. There's the retired numbers on that east side. There's the honored numbers, on the west side, and you could debate which side they belong on, but their names deserve to be up on that stadium, and they will be on Saturday. So that's gonna be a fun thing. We talked to one of the young reporters today, and he's like, "Look, the students on campus are talking about it. They're excited about it, and they've sold 5,000 tickets or something since that announcement. So whether it was something to boost those sales or whatever, people are excited about it. And so, yes, there's some backlash, but there's a lot of people who are excited about it, and you get to honor those two guys one more time, and they deserve to be honored.
I haven't seen your latest weather tweet, Brian. How many layers should folks be wearing to Folsom Field on Saturday?
It's Colorado. You better have several. You're wearing a hoodie right now. I'm not sure that's going to be enough based on what I saw. It will be from what I saw, it'll be the warmest spring game under Coach Prime at 42 degrees. The previous two were in the 30s. But, yeah, as of last night when I looked, 42 and 35% chance of snow. And it's supposed to be snowy on Friday, too. So I don't know if it'll be the same thing. I remember 2 years ago, we were nervous as heck watching them plow the field, whether they were going to get it done in time, because I think the game started like 1, and they were still plowing until about 12:57. It's like, okay, they're done. Let's get the players out here. But, yeah, I will say this. The snow spring game created some cool pictures, and so I guess if it snows, there's at least that.
Snow is always better than sleet, and unfortunately – if there is moisture this Saturday, it might kind of lean more towards the sleet part of things that we had last year. And the crazy thing is it's a beautiful day today, and the forecast beyond Saturday looks fantastic. Yes. So it's just Colorado spring weather. Yeah. You just got to kind of embrace it or bundle up, I guess. We had a chance to talk to Carter Stoutmeyer. He gave a really mature answer when asked about the transfer portal, and he made it sound like, okay, we knew who the guys were that weren't bought in. The guys in there are bought in, and kind of made it seem like this locker room is more together in that sense than we've seen the past couple of years, where a lot of guys have hit the portal this time of year.
Yeah, and he also said it in a way, agreeing with you how mature his answer was, that look, we're young guys, and so when somebody offers you some money, there's some guys that they go and take it, and so I'm not sure he was totally blaming guys for that. It's just but you can tell the guys that are maybe lured by that, but you can also tell the ones that are really bought in. He also mentioned, as far as himself, he goes, look, I've been with Coach Prime and Mathis and all these guys for a long time. My loyalty, I think his line was, I don't think there's any price that could get me to leave here, and so Buff fans got to like that. But yeah, I loved his response. He's a mature young man, and I asked him about growing up. With his dad, obviously played in the NFL, and just that mentality, you can tell that he's been brought up the right way, and has been prepared for this moment, prepared for the moments of the last 2 years. I mean, he was ready to go right off the bat. I think it was it the Nebraska game 2 years ago that he kind of made an impact, which was week 2, and so right from the bat, he's been ready to go because he's a pro.
Yeah, I think he made some lifelong Colorado fans today by some of the comments he made, and that is, again, not trying to yell at clouds here, but with the transfer portal era, when these guys leave, they're not remembered around here anymore. So I think, how do you put a price tag on that? Especially, again, to his point of being a young guy. A lot of times you can't. You got to do what you got to do financially, but that he's in a position that he can kind of keep that loyalty with Colorado is really cool. And he's been the ultimate team player. His freshman year got in that little shouting match with Coach Prime that totally owned that and was like, that's on me. Right. So we've seen that maturity through him these past few years. And then we got a chance to talk to RJ Johnson, who was at safety and on special teams last year, has really had a nice spring at cornerback. I think if you were going to make a list of 5 guys that have really stepped up this spring, he'd have to be on that.
Yeah, for sure. And, I don't know where he's going to fit as far as you look at that cornerback room. And I think we would assume that DJ McKinney and Colton Hood are those starting guys. But I mentioned to you, I think that RJ could be this year's Colton Hood, where he's maybe not that starter, but he's going to play quite a bit and make an impact. I mean, he's had too good of a spring for me to think that he won't play a role in the fall. And another mature young man. We've never talked to him before, but he's sitting there talking. I'm like, wow, and you don't always get that with players. Sometimes they're nervous, things like that. They haven't done this, but he was really mature and good to talk to. I mean, he's one of those players that at least for me, you walk away from that saying, man, I'd love to talk to him more. Because it's too bad they cut it off quickly. Because I'd love to talk to him more. But he's going to play a role for sure.
Yeah, and that's helping these guys out, whatever they're going to go into in their life. Obviously, R.J. Johnson talked about his aspirations to play in the NFL, but you think about it, you can sit in that room with that type of charisma and comfort and confidence, like you're going to do well in a job interview down the line. And that's one of the areas when coaches have kind of cut off media access to us. It's like, I think this is a good life skill that they're developing for the future. And, fortunately, around here, I mean, it hasn't been a lot of people that have just, come at them with hard questions. It's a college athlete. You're gonna have some sensibility about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say this, that throughout this is now going to year 3 for Coach Prime, there's a lot of players on this team. I would say there's a higher percentage of sort of eloquent speakers on this team than previous teams. I think they've really brought in a lot of mature young men. And, when you hear Carter and you hear RJ, you're like, there are 2 more of them.
Yeah, and we heard about the GPA again today. That obviously it's gone really well for them on the academic side as well. I'm anxious to get in Folsom Field on Saturday. Yeah. It's kind of bittersweet because it's going to be your last opportunity to see these guys in person for quite a while. I would say for most fans going to Folsom Field on Saturday, some tempered expectations. There are some injured guys on this team. Yeah. It's and even Coach Prime said today, like, it's really hard to gauge your football team when you're going against yourselves. Right. And that's why they wanted to play Syracuse in the spring game this year. Any thoughts you have kind of leading up to the spring game, things you want to see out there on Saturday?
Well, Rob Livingston said the other day too that, like, look, there's days that we're trying to find 11 guys put on the field. So, you do have to temper those expectations. I'm obviously looking forward to seeing the trenches, like what do they look like on the offensive and defensive lines. We've heard they're much better in those areas. There's some new offensive linemen I want to see. I want to see Zy Chrysler. I want to see Jaheim Otis, on the defensive line, Tavion Coleman, guys like that. I want to see what they look like. The other thing, too, this is the last chance for fans to see natural grass at Folsom Field for, I don't know if it's forever or for a very long time, but, this summer right after the Boulder, they're going to, tear that out and put the new turf in, the artificial turf. So, yeah, if you want to see natural grass one more time at Folsom Field, this is the week to do it. We
were talking, too, and there was some speculation in terms of the studies that have been done with artificial surfaces versus natural grass. And I think I posed the question is a grass in Colorado in November better than an artificial surface? And Coach Prime actually mentioned today that there was, in some of those later games, those colder games, kind of a dew on the field. Yeah. That was kind of an issue. So that is something to throw in there for the people that were really frustrated with that decision.
Well, and the other thing too that I've said to people is, because there's so many comments of, well, here come the injuries. Well, they practice on artificial turf every single day. Almost every single day in the IPF. So this is a surface they're used to. And frankly, being out there for Pro Day, there's some areas of that surface out there that probably need to be fixed a little bit. I would say it's not in the greatest shape. There was a couple where you see the seams, things like that. So they practice on that every day. And we haven't seen a rash of ACL injuries, things like that. So I know it's different game day, but the big deal on those surfaces, they talk about the non-contact injuries. I don't think that it's going to be that big of a deal. That the first injury that happens is going to be blamed on the turf. But I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like.
Spring game predictions?
I think the Buffs win.
I agree. We'll see you on Saturday after we cover Colorado's 2025 spring game.